Good morning, Wake and Takers. How are we doing today? It is Thursday, July 24th. I am here live with you now. Got a lot of the first day of training camp news coming out. And I mean, breaking news coming out maybe 5 minutes ago that we're going to go ahead and cover. But holy cow, training camp is back. The NFL is back. Fantasy football is kicking into high gear. Thank you so much for joining me today as we are going to go over everything that's been going on the past couple of days. Before we jump into that, I just want to go ahead and remind everybody to go ahead and follow the Player Profiler Now YouTube page. Follow me on X at JOwens_FF. Over there, we're going to see a ton of content between Dynasty, Redraft, Best Ball as that draft season closes up here. We got a lot of content coming to you. Go ahead and make sure you're following everybody over there so that way you're keeping up with all of the news as it breaks and just getting all the different perspectives out there. Just going to go ahead and jump right into it today because we have, like I said, a ton of news, a lot of noise, a lot of videos of guys catching passes in shorts, a lot of running backs that would be tackled about 3 yards past the line of scrimmage, running away, acting like they're busting off a 90-yard run in a true game like that. But let's go right into what I said at the beginning with the breaking news. Justin Fields of the New York Jets pulls up on a play in the team drills and gets carted off of the field with an apparent lower leg injury. Obviously, we don't ever like to see any injuries, and this one could have a lot of fantasy implications for an offense that everyone's been really excited about. Everyone's been very much looking forward to this Jets offense, which is not something you hear every year. So this is something that I'm really trying to keep an eye on. We still need to wait for updates, obviously, on the severity of the injury, but the fact that he pulled up non-contact on a play doesn't bode well, especially lower injury. You fear hamstring, Achilles, something along those lines. The cart comes out, so that's always gets the antennas going. But at the same time, it is training camp. We've seen the carts come out for a stub toe. We've seen a guy need water, so a cart comes out. A guy needs to go to the bathroom, the cart comes out. It's kind of the name of the game in training camp where every little injury is taken seriously, and they're often the practice field is often farther away for camp, so it requires a cart to go back to the facility to get checked on. So it is definitely there's a wide range of what this injury could mean in terms of Justin Fields' availability for the season. We could be looking at a completely lost season if it is something as serious as an Achilles. We could be looking at something that is healed up before week 1 and there's nothing to even worry about, just a little bit of injury concern going into the season. It is very serious, though, in terms of what the New York Jets offense would look like if Fields does miss time. Right now, their backup is the 35-year-old Tyrod Taylor, who has been able to step in and keep teams afloat and make them not look incompetent. But it's really not someone that I'm excited. It obviously caps the upside of this entire offense. Garrett Wilson takes a big hit from this. He'll still get his volume that we're projecting, but it's going to be much lower touchdown upside, much lower big play upside. It's really just going to be PPR volume if Tyrod is the quarterback moving in. Same thing with Breece Hall. Very excited for him this season. He's been looking great. Justin Fields does utilize the running back as a passing outlet, so it was still something where it was going to be a part of his game, and the upside was there in terms of just a full complement of snaps, a full offense that is moving down the field and scoring touchdowns. It looked like it was finally coming back together for Breece Hall here, and if Fields does miss time, it really does just cap that upside. I still think he's a good draft pick because if Fields is out, you got to think that the Jets are looking more towards a run-heavy offense. So I still think that Breece Hall would stay afloat. His floor would still stay safer. with no Fields, but it definitely is just a huge shatter to the ceiling if this injury lingers into the season. The true winner that I think would come out, or not, it's not even a winner. It doesn't feel like right saying winner, but the true guy that I'm looking for to step up and really get more work in this offense if Fields does miss time is going to be Braylon Allen. Like I said, I think they're going to try to hide Tyrod behind what they're hoping is a strong defense again, and they're going to try to just eat clock and run the ball a million times a game. And obviously, like I said, Brees, the floor stays safe if that happens, but also Braylon Allen will be getting a lot more opportunities in games, so he becomes a much more viable late round running back where he's going to have standalone value, getting 10 to 15 carries or 10 to 15 touches a game. And then if anything does happen to Brees, he's got that upside of he steps into a much bigger role where he's getting a bulk of the workload. Just doesn't feel like a league winner type. Like there won't be a league winner. It feels like coming out of the Jets if Fields is missing a big chunk of the season or the entire season. So definitely going to need to keep an eye out for any news that comes out of New York in terms of Justin Fields. It's probably going to be one of the most anticipated injury reports we're going to see here in the early bits of training camp. We did have some other injury news come up of yesterday, players that are starting on the NFI or the PUP list, and going to bounce over to the Houston Texans, where Joe Mixon actually starts the camp on the NFI list. And that is something that I didn't see coming, truthfully. It was something where we knew he had the walking boot. We knew that there was like a little bit of a lingering injury from last season, or even something that happened in the offseason, which we're kind of seeing now with it being an NFI, non-football injury list that he's being designated to. So it's something to keep an eye on. We know that he's dealt with the ankle injury last season, and if he was in a boot earlier in the offseason, it's just really making me feel a little bit uneasy. We saw it last season where Mixon was great in the role that he was in. He was one of the top running backs in terms of fantasy points per game, right out the gate, just getting all of the volume, keeping that Houston offense chugging along. The season was derailed quite a bit by the ankle sprain, so it's really just it's interesting to see now that he's starting the season once again injured. It doesn't make me confident in drafting him. He has been going at what I feel like is a discount for someone of that type of volume and that type of offense. But at the same time, it's clearly because of the injury risk that's being baked in, and we're seeing it now. Along with Joe Mixon going on the NFI list, Dameon Pierce in the same backfield also starts the training camp on the PUP. While that isn't indicative of where his availability will be for the start of the season, it's definitely not good for a running back that's already been on the outs of his own backfield. The Texans did not feel confident in him last season. Everyone thought that he would be the next man up with Mixon out, and it didn't pan out. They were going everywhere else, plugging in guys. They're pulling up off of the waiver wires to take the main workload. So while it's not really someone that I was looking to step up, it's definitely not a good thing to see for Dameon Pierce. I think he is just done in all formats here. But what really I'm looking to is Nick Chubb back? Is this the path? Is this why the Houston Texans brought him in? The contract doesn't say they were looking to feed him this huge workload and bring him back to prime time Cleveland Browns, Nick Chubb, where the guy's getting 300 plus carries. But maybe, just maybe, he will be the primary first and second down back if Mixon is not able to start the season, if Mixon is off to a slow start, or if anything happens again with that ankle or a hamstring or anything like that. I really think that Nick Chubb gets the first crack at being the primary back. He's at least going to be the first and second down goal line back. We know that. That's Nick Chubb right there. The guy's one of the has been one of the best, obviously, before injuries in terms of just abusing defensive lines and linebackers and just being one of the top talents at the running back position. Obviously, age and 3 knee surgeries takes away from that, but he's a hungry player right now. He's been looking to really show that he is still a top caliber running back, and he might get his chance here in Houston on an offense that is good. We know they struggled last season, but they dealt with a mishmash of injuries where wide receivers are going down, Joe Mixon's going down, the offensive line play was just abysmal, so nothing was able to really catch hold last year. But if they can go ahead and just stay healthy, this offense is going to put up points. They're going to be an offense where they're in a softer division. So if they get out to a big lead, they could just turn to the running back game and run the ball a million times. And that just does nothing but benefit Nick Chubb if he is going to get this opportunity here. Another guy that I'm really keeping an eye on more so in Dynasty is Woody Marks. I think he was a 6th round draft pick by the Houston Texans. I would expect him to be a little bit more of the pass catching out of the backfield, like giving like Nick Chubb or Joe Mixon, whoever's really the primary, a little bit of a spell on those 3rd downs when needed. So I don't think that he is going to take a significant work share this year, but he's definitely someone that, with injuries already piling up in the Houston backfield, he's someone that could get the opportunity to go ahead and really work his way into his own specialized role for this year, which would immediately vault his dynasty value up from someone that might be going in the 4th, 5th round of rookie drafts to someone that you could maybe flip for a 3rd. You could package him in to move up a tier with someone else. It's interesting right now. So if he is available in your dynasty league, if you can get him for a toss in, or if he's even on the waiver wires, he's someone that I'm definitely looking to scoop up. This is really that time in dynasty where you're keeping an eye on all the camp news. You're seeing all these running backs that aren't going to be the 1A, 1B type guys, but they could be the 2. They could be the specialist type player. That this is really where I'm looking to fill out my roster. I'm dropping all of my old wide receivers that are number 3 on their team, number 4 on their team. I can pick those guys back up at any point in the season to be a plug for 5-6 points. So right now what I'm looking for is those guys that could really just jump in valley that I can flip, or that I could even plug into a flex spot or a running back spot on my team. And that's exactly what I think Woody Marks is right now. So go ahead and try to scour your leagues for that. Another injury update that we have, I feel like I talk about the San Francisco 49ers every single show, but it's honestly, it's one of the big targets that I have this year for fantasy football. They have such a soft schedule, projected schedule. They are another team where they were really injury bitten last season, and it just didn't really come together. They couldn't even make the playoffs, and it's something that they really are looking to continue to push. And that's going to come on the back of their offense, really. I think Purdy gets his new contract. He's going to want to show out and prove that he earned that money. And we keep seeing just this consolidation. We keep seeing the injuries kind of trickle in. And right now we know Ayuk, there's no expected timetable for his return. That's still the news that we're hearing. I have not heard any more of the week 1 is coming, which, I mean, honestly, who believed that? I didn't. If it happened, I would have been very much shocked. So everyone's been kind of looking like, okay, so where is it going? Jauan Jennings kind of had the holdout where it was like, will he report to camp? He wants the new contract. Good news, he did report. But the injury news that I'm talking about right now is Ricky Pearsall. We know that he missed a good chunk of last season due to being shot, which is, quite the serious injury to come back from, shot in the chest of all things. So took a little bit longer to come back from in terms of the 2 gunshot injuries that we've seen in the past couple of years with Brian Robinson and now Pearsall. So The injury for Pearsall right now is his hamstring. It's preventing him from starting camp. He is also not able to participate, so it is very much hindering his upside this season. He was someone I was definitely taking shots on early on, just because it's the ball's got to go somewhere, and we know San Francisco is capable of having an abundance of fantasy points being scored. Pearsall was a first round pick from the 49ers, late first round pick a couple years last year? And so it's the pedigree's there. The team believes in him, but if he can't make it to the field, if he can't make it to camp to even fight for those targets, he's someone that I'm just not looking to draft this season. Once again, if his ADP craters and he's someone where you're taking him with a pick that just it's a pure upside pick in rounds 8, 9, 10, 11, like and beyond, I'll do that. But I'm just not looking to spend any type of like top 6 round, 7 round draft capital on a guy like Pearsall, who we don't even know what his role is still at this point of his career. So I'm really turning my focus to George Kittle. I feel like a broken record just coming back with the old tight ends once again, but George Kittle is just the absolute smash of all smash tight ends this season. The offense runs through him in CMC, especially this year with no Ayuk, no Debo. It's really, he's really set up to just completely take over the tight end position. I know Brock Bowers, I know Trey McBride are the exciting young guys that posted the huge seasons last year, but I still think that the best value tight end is George Kittle. He's going still at pick 38, which is early round 4. And that's a very much a sweet spot for me. If you want to get Bowers, you want to get McBride, you're taking them rounds 1 and 2, which I've personally been bitten by the Gronks and the Kelseys at that price point. And it's just something where it's not palatable to me. I want an elite wide receiver, an elite running back at that stage. So it's been really tough for me to push the button on Bowers and McBride, but Kittle is just, especially with Kittle being in this sweet spot here in round 4, where I don't feel so guilty. I don't feel like I'm missing out on a top 3 potential guy at his position. So he's really who I'm looking at. And of course, Christian McCaffrey creeping higher and higher into the first round. Like Evan Ringler on Tuesday said, he's someone who he is keeping an eye on in terms of injury news. And we saw yesterday in camp, the reports are that he is, quote unquote, the healthiest he's ever been. Of course, we hear that year in, year out from teams, from players themselves, talking about all the different things that they've done to get in shape, all the different injuries that are in the past. They're in the past. I'll believe it when I see it. But from what I did hear and what I read, Christian McCaffrey is looking good, but he only participated in the individual drills. What I read was that this was intended. This was on purpose. They are maybe doing a slow roll into camp for the veterans, especially the ones that they want to keep healthy, like a Christian McCaffrey. So no true concern right now. It's more of just, again, keeping an eye out. If he continues throughout the first week or 2 of training camp, only doing individual drills and not doing the team drills and running the full offense, it is something that would start to concern me a little bit. But right now, he's still atop of the running back rankings. He's still someone that I'm looking to take. And I'm really focused on CMC and Kittle in terms of San Francisco, but also with Jauan Jennings reporting into camp, it brings him back onto my target list for drafts. He's sitting right now at wide receiver 39, going in the late 7th round. So it's really, if he is the wide receiver 1 in this room, he's going to be number 1 or number 2 in targets on the team if that's the case. And he's really someone that's just set up to smash his ADP. Before we get into the rest of the news that's coming along, I think that's it for the injuries. I hope if I'm missing anything, please feel free to jump in the chat and let me know if I'm missing any of the injury camp news that we want to talk about. But right now, I'm going to pass it over to the Podfather. He's going to talk about our player rankings, which are just going to be moving around. They're going to be moving and grooving here as training camp goes, as these injury updates occur, and as we see the depth chart battles happen. So let's go ahead and hear about that.
People say, oh, there's so much free on Player Profiler. What's in the premium package? Well, it starts with the player rankings. We have the best process for ranking and projecting players, not just seasonal leagues, though. We're talking about tight end premium, specifically FFPC, best ball, specifically underdog, including their Superflex rankings. And then we have IDP rankings, dynasty rankings, rookie rankings, Scott Fishbowl rankings, offensive line rankings by Dan Fornick, cornerback rankings throughout the season where you can see who's matched up with who. It's incredible. And think about who's contributed to our processes over time. Math majors, analytics powerhouses, plus you get the contributions from the real football guys. Billy Muzio, Dan Williamson, Bradley Stalder. That's why our rankings are the best. And if you want to upgrade and go all in, use promo code Underworld or your host promo code, and you get $25 off.
And definitely agree. Those rankings are instrumental. And especially if you get the draft kit that has recently dropped, you can get those rankings. You can get them in a cheat sheet that you can check guys off the box right there. You can get the printable cheat sheets from each of our contributors. So it's really the rankings, the draft kit, they're all very much things that I use every single year for organizational purposes. And for the fact that I also love hearing from the guys at Player Profiler on how they see things. It helps me break the ties in my own brain. It helps me see things that I maybe missed in my own evaluation. So definitely check out the player rankings. Definitely check out the draft kit. Huge tools to help you really smash your draft. But let's go ahead and get back into some of the other camp news that we saw. Again, just an absolute fire hose of information. So you really got to sift through. You're seeing all these videos of completed passes, touchdowns galore in the training drills, in the team drills where they're starting on the 5-yard line, but you still love to see a touchdown throw to your favorite guy. We love confirming our priors with all this training camp hype pieces. So it's really important to just try to hone in on the right details. Something that I saw yesterday that's not really a big surprise, but how I still feel there's going to be fantasy impact from is Russell Wilson confirmed officially the QB1 for the New York Giants. We know they brought him in. They brought in a whole mess of quarterbacks. They brought in Russ. They brought in Jameis Winston. They went out and drafted traded back into the first round to draft Jackson Dart. So it really was kind of not up in the air, but there were a lot of avenues for them to go to in terms of quarterback. And I mean, one of my favorite wide receivers out there, Malik Nabers, is attached to one of these guys. So it really did matter to me who was going to be. I know he was going to get the volume. I know he's going to be the offense, but I still want to see someone that is proven a little bit. Is like, look, don't get me wrong. Russell Wilson, not good for fantasy. He's not anyone that I'm like, oh, I'm drafting Russell Wilson, but I do think that he can make Malik Nabers still be a top caliber wide receiver. He knows that's his top guy, and Russ is not afraid to push the ball deep down the field. Looking back at Russ's games, week 7 on with Pittsburgh last season, I wanted to take a look at his wide receiver one at that time, George Pickens. And in those weeks, Pickens was averaging about 7 targets a game. He did have a game where he had 12 targets. He had games with 9 targets, but he also did have games with 5 targets. So it wasn't really Russ locking in on Pickens, but I don't think that's going to be the case in New York. I think Russ has to lock onto Pickens. He has Wan'Dale Robinson underneath. He has Theo Johnson as the tight end who might be emerging as the target. But really the only weapon that Russ has, and I think he knows it, is Malik Nabers. He doesn't have the run game to rely on like he did in Pittsburgh. He doesn't have the defense like he did in Pittsburgh to rely on. So if Russ wants to keep his job, he wants to continue to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, he's going to have to push the ball down the field. He's going to have to target Malik Nabers a million times a game. So if Pickens is able to get 7 targets a game in Pittsburgh, I think that 10 targets a game is the minimum for Malik Nabers over here in New York. Like I said, Russ is not afraid. He's got a great deep ball. He pushes the ball down the field. Pickens was averaging about 108 air yards per game, and Russ was number 8 in deep ball attempts per game. He was averaging about 4 deep ball attempts per game, and honestly, the top of that list was about 6 per game. So I don't expect him to be he'll be in the same spot where he's going to be top 10 in that category, I believe. But I think that means that we're going to see some big plays from Nabers. And I think he doesn't need to run the go route. Nabers can take a crosser. He can take a deep post. He can go. He's got a much more defined, just electric route tree compared to a guy like George Pickens. So I just think that as long as Russ is the quarterback, Nabers is going to go ahead and produce. If we do see that shift to Jackson Dart later on, if the season goes sideways, which, I mean, it's the Giants, very much could go sideways very quickly. Swapping to Jackson Dart will just absolutely cap Malik Nabers. We very much don't like seeing a rookie quarterback get tossed in there on a bad team with one weapon. So not really in formats like Underdog, or if I'm like thinking about the late part of the season where it's going to be playoff time in fantasy football, it does scare me a little bit knowing that. But I think that's also kind of baked in with Malik Nabers. He's got top 3 talent, top 5 talent, but we just can't trust that team. We can't trust that quarterback room. And that's why he's kind of at the back end of the first round, early second round type guy. So it's definitely something where, like I said, we not surprising that Russ is getting the first shot, but it's also, will he hold on to it? And that's really going to determine how Nabers is. With Russ, I don't have a problem taking late shots also on a Wan'Dale Robinson, especially in PPR formats. The guy's open underneath all the time, so he can provide a good floor there. But really, outside of Nabers, I'm not excited about anyone on this Giants team. The running backs are both in a spot where they can both produce some value, but they're also going to cannibalize each other so much and have such diverse skill sets that I don't think anyone's going to take hold of that backfield. So truly, the Russell Wilson news just makes me more confident in Malik Nabers, and that's it for the Giants. Going back to some holdouts or hold-ins or just new contract situations that we were keeping an eye on, going back to Terry McLaurin, he still has not reported into camp, still has not had any movement on the contract. We've heard from people in the Washington organization that they are going to get a deal done. They are going to bring Terry back, but actions very much speak louder than words in these type of situations. We've seen it with many teams. We've seen it with many players where progress is made, and then all of a sudden it stops. And Terry seems serious about wanting this new contract, about cashing in on the big season last year. And he feels like he's earned it, and more power to him. I'm always rooting for the players in these situations. So it's still something to keep an eye on in terms of Terry McLaurin himself in fantasy football. You never really like to see, especially a wide receiver, skipping training camp. They're always showing that they're at a little bit of a higher risk of lower body injuries. And that's something that we really don't want to see. Terry is very much by far and away number one in this offense. He is the main passing outlet for Jayden Daniels, and we saw how many touchdowns he can score with Daniels as a rookie. You got to think their connection is only going to get stronger once McLaurin's back in camp, and we can see this duo elevate themselves if Terry comes back. There's still the option, there's still the potential out there of a trade. I don't personally see it happening. I think both sides are saying they want to get a deal done. It's just, will they get the deal done and when? I don't expect this to linger into the season, although, again, crazier things have happened. But truly what I look at this as is just heightened injury risk for McLaurin, and also just I was already very much fading McLaurin at what his ADP was before this holdout. I think the touchdown regression was coming. I think that we saw the peak in touchdowns last season. So he was someone where I was very much hesitant to take again, just because he was such a value last season. He was someone that people were tossing to the side saying, rookie quarterback, what has he done for me? Like he's a good wide receiver, but he's not actually producing. And he showed everyone wrong there, but also with all of this, you just got to think that he was being drafted at his ceiling, and that might continue. This does also make me drop Jayden Daniels down just a little bit. I did see Daniels creeping higher and higher, and I mean, what's not to love? The guy put up an absolute ridiculous season as a rookie, and he was even kind of like babied into it at the beginning of the season, where we saw them not cut him loose. They weren't letting him throw the ball deep. They weren't really letting him open up the offense. They were keeping everything short and quick to keep him safe and get him acclimated. So you got to think this season they're coming out the gates just letting Jayden be Jayden, which is where he operates the best. So where I think that this decreases his passing ceiling, Jayden Daniels, I do think that this could lead to more rushing, which fantastic for fantasy. So it's something where I'm not completely like just dumping him on the ADP on the rankings or anything like that. But it is something where it adds more fragility to his projections, that adds more fragility to his fantasy output and his fantasy ceiling. He could very much overcome any setback in passing with more rushing. So he's not someone that I'm fading. I'm still comfortable taking Jayden Daniels, but it's just something in the back of my mind that I'm a little bit, maybe I don't go Daniels. Maybe I go Hurts. Maybe I just play late QB roulette there. But definitely another thing where I'm keeping an eye, just waiting for got Terry watch going, got the binoculars on, waiting to see when he's going to make it to camp and when he's going to start linking back up with Jayden. Deebo Samuel is someone who is still just very, very cheap in your drafts, and he is very much someone that I'm willing to take the shot on this season. I think that if the McLaurin holdout does extend, the only person to really benefit from that is Deebo. He's going to build the rapport very quickly now, being the top wide receiver in the room with Jayden Daniels in camp right now. It does also open up a pathway for just gross tight end Zach Ertz, the dusty Ertz, or Ben Sinnott. This could be an opportunity for him to also maybe start claiming more targets, start pushing his way past Zach Ertz. That's more of a dynasty guy that I'm keeping an eye on. Still someone that I would love to acquire for cheap if I can in dynasty, where he's very much on the Trey McBride career arc right now, where sitting behind dusty Zach Ertz, young athletic tight end, but he caught one pass last season. It was something ridiculous like that. So a lot slower in the path forward for Sinnott, but someone that I'm still interested in. You can get him for next to nothing right now. And with all of this turmoil in the Washington receiving game, I could see maybe someone else emerging, especially, we know Deebo, if they're going to use him like a running back, he's more prone to injury. That's why he left San Francisco, why they didn't bring him back, was the fact that he just couldn't stay healthy. So heightened McLaurin injury risk, Deebo Samuel stepping up, but also an injury risk himself. There's a lot of question marks in this passing game that really makes me a little bit nervous, but still, I think Jayden Daniels is very much on that Lamar Jackson level, where it doesn't really matter who his wide receivers are, because he can make so much happen with his legs, and also just by creating plays on the run. It doesn't really affect Jayden's fantasy output itself. Another guy that I was looking to see if he would report, he's been asking for a new contract, is James Cook from the Buffalo Bills. He did show up. He was participating. No hold in there. Still looking for a contract, but not forcing it, not trying to make it a big deal. So it's good to see him back in camp. It really was one of those things where, I mean, the guy scored 18 touchdowns last year total. He's another guy that just touchdown regression. I was fading for a bit there. It does seem that the Buffalo Bills are still going with want to be a run heavy team, and they have Ray Davis, who is a bit more of a grinder type back that he really showcased his abilities at the end of last season, where he might start getting more work alongside complementing James Cook. So I do think that obviously the touchdown regression will be a thing. Josh Allen will probably run a few more in. Ray Davis will take some more of those goal line touches. So while I don't think that James Cook is going to score 18 touchdowns again, it's not outside the realm of possibilities. So he's not someone that I'm looking to fade anymore. The contract dispute kind of had me a little bit worried, but with him reporting to camp, I think that he's right back in where he was last season as the primary back in a high-powered offense that is also lacking weapons. Josh Allen is the number one weapon in this team. I've said it before. I love Keon Coleman. I think that he is the wide receiver to go after in this offense, but I still don't think that he is the focal point of this offense. It's very much Josh Allen, James Cook, and the running game. So if he's healthy, if Cook is healthy, he's out there, he's participating, he's back on the target list, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I'm still looking at him. And if he does slip because of these fears, I will be more than happy to pounce on that. We, of course, like I said, we always get some hype pieces, and I talked about him a little bit earlier on the Russell Wilson part, but George Pickens season, it's here. He's free from Pittsburgh. He's obviously going to be very vocal if he does not get his targets. He's going to be very vocal if he is not a big part of this offense. But have we seen the Dallas Cowboys roster? Do they have anybody except for Ceedee Lamb on offense? And the answer is they don't. It is insane to me that we're trying to sit here and decipher one of the least desirable, ambiguous backfields out there right now is Dallas. Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, Jaden Blue. Nobody really seems to be the front runner. And it's another one of those, does it even matter? I don't think so. This is a tough division. Dallas is in a very tough division. They're still dealing with injuries on the defense. Micah Parsons is wanting to get paid and is being very vocal about it. Retweeting JJ Watt, calling out Dallas, just all sorts of things where this team is a mess, but a team that's a mess is still very much fantasy viable. And if the Dallas Cowboys are going to be doing anything at all this season, it's going to be through the air. They're going to run through the air. They're going to throw through the air. Everything is going to be on Dak Prescott's shoulders. And we know CD is going to get his, but also George Pickens has been getting nothing but praise already. And that might be to stroke the ego. That might be the Dallas coaches. That might be Dak knowing how to kind of frame things to make it to build George up, because he is very much a player where he has to be in it mentally. He has to be thinking he's the best right now, that he's got a shot at winning a game for him to perform. We've seen him give up on plays. We've seen him walk off the field. We've seen it a million times. So I very much think that, yes, it's Dallas kind of fluffing him up where they're saying, hey, this George Pickens guy. But at the same time, if George Pickens believes in George Pickens, he's going to just be a monster on the football field. And he's definitely someone where he's an absolute value right now in fantasy football. Everyone's scared off, thinking he's a head case, thinking he might burn out by the end of the season, but I do not care. I think he is going to get fed enough targets by Dak that it's not going to matter. It's going to be CD, it's going to be Pickens, it's going to be glorious. right now, like I said, it's the least desirable ambiguous backfield out there. It's so bad in Dallas with the running backs that Cavante Turpin getting running back carries was big news for training camp. Like, think about that. Like, there was buzz, there was little tweets being tossed out there about a Cavante Turpin running back carry. That's terrible. That's absolutely terrible. I'm still taking my shots on Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, really, just because of the fact that, I mean, someone's got to run the ball. They literally can't just throw the ball 100% of the time. But it's such an insignificant draft cost that I don't care about those picks. But I really think that if you can get a CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Dak Prescott stack, it's just going to be an absolute insane smash type of stack right there that I would love to have it. I think Dak comes back. He shows everybody that he can still produce. He's still a good quarterback, just been dealing with injuries nonstop. So Dak's healthy. I'm all in on Pickens this season. And the last situation from camp that I really wanted to bring up today is going to be over in Denver. Is another somewhat ambiguous running back room where there's 4 guys that we've heard their name be talked about by the head coach. And that's, again, the Denver Broncos running back room with Sean Payton as the head coach. He is, right now, it looks like J.K. Dobbins got the first crack at the first team reps. And he's going to be that first man up. I honestly kind of expected this. I know they spent the high draft capital on RJ Harvey, and I think that they will still use Harvey very much in the beginning of the season, but I still think that Dobbins is going to be the veteran that they lean on, that they let Bo Nix kind of use as an outlet in terms of in the passing game to hand off to, just someone to take the pressure off of Bo in his sophomore season here. Dobbins is a veteran. He's worked in all phases of the game. He's someone that coaches can rely upon. The issue is, of course, major injuries pretty much every year. Even when he's not injured, we saw last season, he had the huge start with Los Angeles. He comes out, he's just lighting the world on fire, being crazy efficient, busting off big runs, looking like J.K. Dobbins is back. But as the season went on, as he got more touches, got more carries, he kind of wore down. The efficiency dipped. He wasn't breaking off the big plays. So you got to think that it might have just been some lingering just the fact that he's been injured for the past 3 years, that it might have just been something lingering or just wearing down because his legs just aren't built for that anymore. So while I do think that Dobbins is a big early season contributor, I think RJ Harvey is going to have a role from the beginning, and it's just going to grow as the year goes on. As Dobbins fades, we're going to see Harvey go up, and it's just going to be it's pure takeoff for me for RJ Harvey still. This is another offense that I want the top pieces of, and I do think that both Harvey and Dobbins are viable. Love Sutton, love Ingram, love Nix this year. So again, an offense that I like, an offense that I think will score points, but also I want that big swing. I want that high upside rookie running back, and that's RJ Harvey right now. He is RB21 still in terms of ADP. He slid a little bit. He was up at like pick 50. He spiked back up to around pick 50 on FFPC. He's back down to like the 58 to 60 range. So it does seem like there is a little bit of slide coming, and I'm sure with the J.K. Dobbins news, and as Dobbins gets more work in camp, we will see that slide a little bit more into the mid 60s, which I'm all over it. I don't care. That just makes me want to draft more RJ Harvey. Like I said, he's going to be splitting early on, but we've seen Dobbins fade, and as Dobbins fades, we see these rookie running backs every year just pick up steam. As the year goes on, they get more and more touches, they get more and more snaps, they just continue to build on their season. So if Harvey is touching the field early, week 1, this is just an absolute smash here. On the flip side of that, if I'm going 0 RB, I do like to partake in the wide receivers quite a bit. And if I'm going zero RB and I just need someone who is going to have a strong start while I wait for the waiver wire running backs to emerge, or while I wait for my Braylon Allens, my secondary, my handcuff plus type guys to really get more of a consistent role. While I'm waiting on those guys, J.K. Dobbins is an absolute target in that kind of build. He's going to be getting the heavy workload in the beginning. I think like I said, he's going to be the primary back in Denver for the first couple of weeks. And I think we're just going to see that get chipped away. But I still think he's a great value right now. He's running back 40 going in the triple digits of drafts. So he's not expensive. He's someone that is a great plug for your start of the season in a zero RB team. That really is all that I have right now on the training camp, Firehose, the news, all of the different battles, the injuries, everything going on. I'm going to be keeping my eye on everything. So that way next Tuesday, we'll have even more to talk about. Go ahead and, like I said, follow me on X. You can find me at Joans_FF. I'm still looking to give more deep dive analysis over there. Plus, you can get the notifications whenever I'm going live for Wake and Take on Tuesdays and Thursdays every single week at 10 a.m. Eastern time. But other than that, thank you guys so much for joining me today. Be sure to give this video a like. Be sure to follow and subscribe to the Player Profiler Now page on YouTube and Twitter. And thank you so much for joining me today. I will see everybody on Tuesday.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to playerprofiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.